Good morning, guys. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday morning and you've got a nice cup of coffee next to you. Now, we're going to be editing an image today, and I had a few requests a couple of weeks ago, people asking how I go about and edit my images. So yeah, we'll do that. So the image in question is shot in these conditions. It was a nice misty morning, and quite early in the morning this was in the summer. So yeah, let's get on with the video and how I go about my business editing an image. Okay, so we're at the image now. First thing I do when I go to any image for I edit, enable profile corrections. Now, the reason why particularly I mention this for this image is I was shooting with I believe it was a 35mm lens. I'm using a full frame camera, but the 35mm was a crop sensor lens. So, you know, if you know about a crop sensor lens on a full frame, you'll get vignetting. This one, as you see, has got some vignetting around here as well, and all the corners have got vignetting, so it looks a bit kind of odd. I've kind of made to make it look like it's a vignette around the edges of the frame, which I've not. So in this case I'll press enable profile corrections just here, and straight away what that does is it gets rid of the vignette around the sides. Also, removing chromatic aberration, so if there's any halos or anything for the image, but I don't think that's, most modern cameras are a thing for that now. And you can see here on the right hand side it was a 35mm camera, the information's there. You'll get that. As soon as you hit your enable profile corrections, it'll come up the make, model of the camera, profile of it. So, get back to the image. Now I've done that. This is where the fun starts. This is where I start editing in Lightroom. Lightroom's done about maybe 70% of my editing. The other 30% is done by Luminar or Photoshop, and it just depends what I'm looking for to get. Sometimes I'll just use Lightroom maybe just for a couple of minutes just to adjust the light, depending on how good the image is. So obviously this scene is created by the mist, and that was it was a natural thing. It's not something I put into the image, as you know, and the video displays that, of course. So what I'm going to do firstly is flatten the image. So what does it mean by flatten image? I do it manually, so it's a raw file. So first thing I do is I'll start from the top, and I can see the exposure. It's to the very right on the histogram, and that's always going to happen when you shoot in snow or mist. You're always going to get your histogram going to the right hand side, so that can't be helped, because if you try to change that, then your snow or your mist is going to look quite odd. For example, if I dragged my blacks down like this, you can see still here on the right hand side it's still overexposed, so it doesn't make a difference. If I use a dehaze straight away again, you can see it's still overexposed. So, you know, if you got to, you know, remember that when you're actually shooting for snow or mist, that you are going to get overexposed images. Unless there's sunlight and it just looks absolutely terrible, you're fine. Okay. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm quite liking the temperature of this image. The temperature's fine. Maybe just adjust a little bit off the blue there and bring it into a bit coolness. So I'm just going to bring it down just a tad there. There we go, just a little bit up there, it's a bit too low. And you see there, there's a unique change. Next thing I'm going to do is get my shadows, drag the shadows up, and I'm going to get my blacks and drag the blacks up as well. So you're looking at about 45 for the blacks and shadows for pretending on an image, and straight away you can see that the image is flat, lost its life. As you see here, what I've done to the image already. Now that will come back a bit, don't worry. So I'm going to just choose the places where I want to put the shadows. Now the image taken here, you can see there's a lot of darks and blacks of the image, and that to me is underexposed and overexposed because of the mist. So you want it to have a kind of happy medium. In other words, a balance that's it's fine with. So getting back to this image, let's work on this. So we do subtle changes. You don't do anything too crass. You just what you do is get, in fact it's going down here firstly, and yeah, sorry, we'll go back down here to the vibrance and saturation. Get the saturation slider and just take it down about -6 there. 5 or 6 is fine. Just to reduce the vibration a little bit. And then what you want to do is get your brush. Now always use a brush, never use subject sky background, because it kind of, you've got to paint over it again, even though sometimes it doesn't get it right. So using the brush is probably easier because you're in control, of course, of the editing. So here's a brush, and if you don't know if you can see that, it kind of, it goes over areas where I want to paint. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just highlighting that so I can show you where I'm going to paint to the image. And what I'm doing is I'm going to the places that were dark. What I'm not trying to do is try to make things dark, because that's when the image kind of loses its true self, and it doesn't look right. There's no balance to it. So I'm just painting the parts that were dark already, and yeah, just to give that a bit more punch to the image. So in this case, I'm painting most of it. Just a little bit up the top here, possibly. Get a tiny bit here, just down there. Yeah, that's pretty much okay about there though. And I'll get the blacks, and I'll bring the blacks down just a tad. There we go. Then what I do is I grab the highlights, check that down a little bit more, and then I'll just get the exposure, just bring that down a bit there. And yeah, so that's pretty much everything. The shadows are okay. What I do now is just show you what the difference is, just for that minute bit of change. So I will come out of the brush and close this field here, and then there we go. So it's not as punchy as that, but to me this is overdone. It's kind of overcooked in a way. With this image, to me, is nice and subtle. It's nice and balanced. It's a bit more ethereal looking. The mist kind of, it looks more kind of in tune with the mist, and this here looks a bit too kind of contrasty and a bit too kind of overexposed. So you need a bit of balance, and this image has got a bit more balance, as you see, and the details there still, nothing's lost. If anything, there's more detail in these images, this image here, sorry, than there is here, because there's a lot of darkness in here, so it's some kind of covering over the actual trunk of the tree. So yeah, we're going to go back into the full image again, and what I like to do is mainly just this is the part I love, because I have played about with some of the parts of the image, and I'm just going to show you how subtle I do things. So normally I work on my greens, I get to saturation. Now depending on the image, I try to subdue the greens a little bit, but with this image it's not too bad. It's not like in your face or anything. So I'm just going to just about 2 or 3. Yeah, about 2 actually. Just kind of minute that there. Take about 3. There we go. And then what I'll do now is I'll go to the luminosity, or luminous rather, not luminosity. Correct that. So I'll go to the luminous, and I will take the green down about 5. So that's that part done. Now I never really use these much, but they are quite good. You can use them, and some people like to cool down the highlights of it here, cool down the shadows, or put more warmth into the shadows, work about the mid-tones and so forth and so on. So what I'm going to do now is dehaze the image a little bit, not much, So your dehaze, of course, if you move it this way, yeah, it just kind of makes it softer, a bit more like foggy looking, which to me, I've already got mist in it, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to use the dehaze and take it to about, say about 10, I'd say. Yeah, just get a bit more, showing the background a little bit more, showing a bit what's in the background. Now I've done all this, quite happy with the pretty much everything with this image. It's worked out very well. I'm going to go into, let me see now, I think I'll right click onto this. Now if you guys haven't got, let's say you haven't got Luminar, then you can use Photoshop to do this as well, or even so, some of the tools can be done in Lightroom. To me, this is more faster for me. Luminar, of course, is a one-off payment for a year, and it's not too costly, and you don't have to pay a subscription fee every year. And it's to me, I don't recommend it as a standalone editing tool. I recommend it as an extra, just to work on your work. There's a lot of things in Luminar that, to me, I wouldn't use because it's too much manipulation to the image. And there's a lot of AI tools, like anything, you know, there's a lot of AI tools and everything, I suppose. So, you know, there's just kind of subtly changing things I do. As you see, I've only made minor adjustments to this image. So we're into Luminar, and what I'm going to do is, on the top of the screen, you've got presets, and then edit. Click edit, and you've got all these, of course, adjustments on the right hand side. Now, normally everything here you can see is pretty much what you use in Lightroom or Photoshop. So there's some kind of landscape things that are customized for landscape images on the right, and kind of sort of luminosity masking, etc. they've got as well. So what I tend to do with this is I'll go to matte, and I'll tell you why I like matte. So matte to the image, what it does, it gives it more of a muted appeal, and I like my images to be a bit more muted instead of like I like a bit of detail, but not too harsh looking, you know. So I'll do a bit of mounting off this, and I'll just take it to about 31, yeah, about 35, I'll say. Go back to 35, about 35, and I'll get the fade and just move that to about just under about 31, I'd say, in this one. And of course the contrast is fine, and I never touch the vividness because that just kind of, yeah, you see there, it just doesn't not fit into the image I'm looking to do, so I keep away from the vividness. So once I've done that, the only thing I do apart from that is I go to glow, and I use a soft focus and just very slightly take it to about 3, just give it that little bit of glow, and that's it. That's the image done. So what I'm going to do now is go up here on the right hand side at the top and press apply. And what that will do is take me back into Lightroom again. Details still there in its abundance. I do like this image. It's one of my favourite ones. And just below there, this part here, now this is the only thing it gets me. It seems to be quite bright, and it kind of distracts a little bit. So then I'll get the liner gradient and just push up a little bit to about there, and just bring the highlights down a bit with it, but also bring the exposure down just to subdue it a little bit more. And actually I prefer that. I do prefer that way. So and that's that image. Come up with that there. Now I'm going to put it up on the screen, see what you think. I like to hear people's comments and views on images I create, because after all, it's how the community builds and it's how we learn off each other, isn't it? So that's pretty much that, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video this week, and I'll see you back out in the field a week on Sunday. Until then, have a nice weekend, enjoy your Sunday, cheery bye.